Hey, what's up? Okay, I'm recording. So I want to talk about .env files, which are a common way to deal with environment variables. And if you don't know about environment variables, they are something that I'm pretty sure you already use something like them, but .env files is like a convention on how we deal with these kind of variables. So for example, if you're having a global variable called mode, for example, if this application in production mode, this is the connection string. If this application mode in development or testing, this connection string for the database will change. So usually the kind of things we will put inside the .env file, it's like the things that will behave like a flags. So is debugging enabled? If debugging is enabled, I will display maybe the call stack for the programmer to see what he or she caused an error with. And another thing that we usually put inside .env files are the connection string for databases. For example, I will put the password and the username for the user in MySQL. We'll put them there. So yeah, we are usually put sensitive information there. If you have password, emails, you will put them, everything put them there. And if you are asking if we are putting sensitive information there, should we like display this .env files to anyone? Should we commit it to a repository, any repository, public or private? The answer is no. These .env files should be ignored by Git. So if you don't know, if you create in any Git repository, create a file called .get ignore. As you can see, VS Code identify it and change the icon. So you put here any folder or file you want Git to ignore it. So most of the cases, or most of the application I saw, they always put .env files in the Git ignore, so they will be ignored by default. And in any repository, you will create a README, and there you will put what kind of variables you will put inside this .env file, which you should create. So this file won't exist in any repository. You should create it, and you should put your data there so the application can run. I'll show an example. I think this will make more sense. So Laravel is very famous. It's actually my first framework I ever learned. It still holds up like a really soft spot in my heart. I really think it's beautiful. So if you go here, you will see there is no .env file, but they use it. There is .env.example, which is just an example that you should change the name. This is the first thing you learn when you look at Laravel, that you should change the name of this application to .env. So remove .example. So I opened it here. So as you can see, this is the structure of .env file, and this works in all languages: Ruby, Node.js, Python, PHP, C#. A lot of languages will work with the same thing. I'm not sure if this kind of concept exists in C#, to be honest. I don't use it that much, but it exists in Node.js and Python and PHP. Yeah. So as you can see, they have the app name equal to Laravel. So this is how the environment variables are defined. So equal will define them like this, or equal will be something in the middle, and the left is the token and the right is the value. So they will display the app name in a lot of places. So when you start a Laravel application, you will change this to your app name. This is the environment. So this is locally by default. You will change it to production when you are on production. You will also disable the debugging. So internally, Laravel checks for this value. If this value is true, it will display the call stack when you make an error. If this is false, it will hide the call stack and display a 500 error page to the user. So this is how they do it. The connection string from MySQL, which is sensitive information. If you think about it, no one should see these. So that's why the .env is something private in your local machine. Don't commit it. Don't show it to anyone. Yeah, it's really sensitive. So a lot of sensitive stuff here. The SMTP server credentials. So just like I said, if you go to git ignore, they have it here. You will see that .env files are already here, so they are ignored. And you should do this in any kind of project you do. So let me just now show you an example in Node.js and Python, just the most simple example that anyone could ever do. Okay, so we need to install npm .env, or we need to use npm to install .env package. So let's go in this folder, which has two directories, JS and Python. So let's go to JS. Let's init this project as an npm project. So npm init, answer yes to all the questions. So it should create the package.json. So npm now install .env. So in any kind of language, when you start using .env files, they should always exist in the root of your directory, in the root of your project. So I am at the root. I will create .env because these packages are built in a way to go to the root directory of the current project and read and search for .env file and read it. So I will put this here, and let me get this. So it's a common practice to name the values as a uppercase and split them with this underscore. I think this is called snake case. Yeah, I think it's snake case. So this is a common practice, and everything here is a string. So even this is a number, this will be a string, even though it's a 5. For example, if we have mails, so I will put test at gmail.com. I will split them with commas. So test2 at gmail.com. So this is a list mail. And I think I forgot to tell you this, but a good thing about .env files that you can change this even though your application is compiled and deployed. So go to the server and add a new email here, and your application will pick it up without compiling or doing anything else, because it will read this environment file, and when you change it, it will read it again at some point, and it will pick up your changes. So this is something really cool about them. So okay, we added this. Now let's create an file in JavaScript. So index to JavaScript. So if you go to the documentation, you need to require the .env module and then call config. Another way is to create, to destruct the config function and call it. Yeah, that's another way. So what this will do, it will go to the root directory and search for .env, and will extract these, or you can say parse it and put it inside a specific object in your process. So process.env will hold these values and with their values, these tokens with their values. So let me show you an example. So as you can see, process.env.db host will equal to this, db user will equal to root, db pass will be equal to this, like this. But what I will do, I will destruct the same tokens from the .env file with the same name. So db host, db user, db pass, and mails, and let's log them. So node dot, if you put dot, which means the current directory, by default node, when it tries to run anything, it will search for index.js, so it will find it. And as you can see, here's our credentials, or our sensitive information. This is the mail list. You can actually this will be equal to mails. Let's split with comma. You will see now an array of emails. So yeah, this is how you do it. And remember, everything is a string. This is 5, but it's a string. So yeah, just remember this. And what we will usually do, so mod equal div. Let's get the mod. Let's get it here as well to log it. So mod is div. You will check at some point in our application if mod is equal to div, connection equal something else, it's a production, maybe something like this. But this is how we usually do it. And dot commit this, so remember that. and this is really useful. I think I usually go with this and use it in all my application. I usually use the env files. So it's really simple. At the first time it was really confusing why and when, but when you develop some more applications it will go with you naturally. So let me show you in Python how we can do it. So Python don't have node modules or anything like it. We have virtual environments, and let's go to Py. So let's create our virtual environment. So I'll call it my Python. I mean, actually it's a little bit like node modules, but yeah. So, and let's create main.py. So you can see now, before installing anything using pip, you need to activate the virtual environment. So source my Python binaries, go to activate. So now when you install anything, it will be installed in this directory, in this local project, not globally, which is very nice, and you should do this, by the way. So this is the library for .env in Python. They don't show us the number of downloads. I'm not sure why. It will be really nice they could show us. In npm, as you can see, .env is very famous. So okay, let's wait this, or let's just write some code. So first thing, if you look at the docs, you will call some function like we did in the node version. So as you can see, from .env import load.env, like this. And by the way, you can go to my Python, I think it library. Yeah, here is the code if you want to see it. It's a little bit like node modules, if you ask me. Pretty sure internally a lot of things are different, but yeah, it's the same idea. This is the only thing that is different. You need to activate a virtual environment. But anyway, now to get any kind of environment variable, you will use, I like these to be at the top. You will use the OS module. You will put os.getEnv and you will give it the token. So let me just copy everything inside this .env and create one here. So .env, like as well in the root of our project. So this will be like this, and let's get the mode. We don't need to get everything, so it's just a proof of concept that this works. Now print db host and mod. So Python 3 main. So localhost and dev, which is correct. This Python. Put here and run it again. So Python. So yeah, this is like a small introduction on .env files and why, and how to use them in Python and Node.js. I hope this was useful. Yeah, and thank you.